Welcome back. I was one of the developers working on Dwerve. The game's on Steam and it's coming out to Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox pretty soon. So I'm working on this new game. It's pretty cool. I just added weapons like this hammer and this leaf blade. The cool thing about the hammer is that it can break through the dirt blocks. And then there's a sword, which attacks fast, but it can't break through the dirt blocks. And you got this fire gauntlet. So you got these randomly generated dungeons, and it's gonna be great. Kablow. Got him. The game's called The Last Phoenix. Please follow the Kickstarter. I know it's early, but every follow makes me feel a little bit less insecure. So on the surface, there's gonna be a caravan where there's shopkeepers and you can buy items and stuff like that. By the way, I have a Discord community you should join where people submitted caravan designs that we're gonna critique. Username Les submitted this monster caravan and I love the creativity for this. All right, so let's see how we could improve this. I think a quick way that we could improve this is we could add a lighter edge to the top of these steps. And then that lighter edge could also go on the top of the wheels. I like that there's shading here in the wheels, but actually I wouldn't go darker on the top. I would go lighter, and then you can keep the darker near the bottom. And that'll make it look more like there's light shining from above. Maybe even this edge here and this edge here. Now that makes it look like we got some pretty good lighting of the candle there. And then for the side of this one would be really simple, but I would pick maybe a spot like this, maybe a pattern, but I would pretty much shade this entire section here, and oops, and that'll kind of make it look rounder. And then about right here, I think, oops, I keep messing up the hotkeys. About right here, we should shade the top, and just one highlight and one shading. Highlight and lighten and darken, one highlight and darken, highlight. What's the opposite of highlight? Shading? One highlight and one shade makes the whole thing look rounder, which is pretty awesome. I like that you did the lighting in the tail. That's pretty good. And all right, let's move on to the next art piece. Okay, so the next one's by Pit. Pit is good. First, I want to point out that the shading here on the right that's more retro-y, this could practically be used in GB Studio. All right, but let's get to this one. So the slimes on this thing give it so much personality. I love little details like that, and these little boxes stacked. There's like being able to draw good and then being able to design good. And when you have two of those together, like Pit, man, this is just blows my mind. The thing that I think could use a little bit of work is the wheels. It is a cool design, but personally, what I would do is I would kind of make it more obvious that these are like pieces of wood. So I would use black here to kind of separate the different sections of this thing, something like this, you know. And then I would put that iconic center piece. I don't even know what it's like, a piece of metal, right? So something like that. And let's use the same colors. So I would shade this with purple, and you have a highlight. I don't know, maybe this gray could go there. And now it looks like, oh wow, look at the difference. Now it looks like there's actually some more form to it. It doesn't look so flat. These kind of look a little bit flat. And I think we could round in these a little bit too. So for example, right here, what I would do is just round off the edges a little tiny bit, and it would look a little bit more like a wheel. Something like this. I think you guys get the point. So yeah, there it looks a little bit more like a wheel. Pretty awesome. And I like how in the back here, these are completely black. You didn't do darker colors of this. I love it when minimal amounts of colors are used in art. There's something about that aesthetic that I don't know if it's nostalgic or I just like have an appreciation for it. And this looks pretty good, but up here, the flower pot, do we have a darker brown? Oh, that's the thing. We don't have a darker brown. So I would use black here. And for this flower pot, since these two are the same color, it doesn't separate the objects. So even if we wanted to use brown in the flower pot, I would at least put a black dot there and there. And now look at that. You see that? All of a sudden it looks like it's on top. It doesn't look like it's the same object. But honestly, I would probably just go all the way across here and do something like this, just so that it looks more like an object that's on top of that caravan. Other than that, I think that this highlight color could also be used in sections up here, maybe as a little bit of a highlight in some of the areas here. You could use it to also create this sort of like wood texture. What I'm doing is creating the what's it called, the grooves in wood. Does that even have a name? But you see how I added a couple of those on the surface there? I would exaggerate them even a little bit more here if you want that to look a little bit more like wood. If you over exaggerate those lines, it's gonna give it more of a texture. And the rest of this, I think is fantastic, Pit. You are an amazing artist. I just realized it looks like this slime is going 5, 5, 5. These are Z's, right? But is it a Z this way? These are 5s, dude. I think you gotta flip them. Let's fix this real quick. So if I go to edit, flip horizontal, there we go. Now it's ZZZ. So user nameless actually updated his caravan, and check that out. Love the curtains here. It looks like there's a tongue coming out. The creativity in this is amazing, dude. Next is Retro Phantom. I like the shutters and the windows. It really gives this a homey feel, which is awesome because I do think these caravans should double up as the player's house. It's the town's gonna come with you. Instead of you visiting towns, you are the town. You're a mobile town. And the ghost is a nice touch because it adds a little bit of personality, a little bit of curiosity. Like what, and especially if like in the game there was smoke coming out and then randomly there's a little ghost face that comes out, especially if it was like a witch's caravan. Dude, that would be a pretty cool idea. And I like the lantern hanging here. Pretty sweet. I'm not sure why you didn't have the same wheels. The characters in The Last Phoenix are goblins, so maybe if the wheels are mixed and matched, that'd be kind of funny and kind of cool. Some of the things that I would definitely change though is I don't think you need these drastically different wood colors. You can have wood colors that are a little bit different, but I wouldn't go with such drastically different wood colors. And honestly, when you're doing pixel art this low density, it's not really that important to have too much variation in the different kinds of like wood colors, wood panels or whatever. The green ones are a nice touch though. I like that it's painted because it makes it feel like the person living here has made it their own, you know? So basically you have this shape that you're going for, right? And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So this wood piece here, I think that's the wood piece that's behind or whatever. That would actually be shorter. So what you want to do is you want to take this and you want to lengthen it past. Oops, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry guys. You want to take it and lengthen it past this back one over here. And if you have something like this, now it's not obvious that this piece is the back one. So yeah, I get that maybe you would like raise this and leave it there. But basically what I'm getting at is that this piece needs to be longer than the piece in the back because of the perspective that you're doing. Next, we got Viking Flapjack. Wow, look at the creativity on this thing. Dude, the design of this blows my mind. I love that that's a bow and then there's a shield for a wheel here. The only thing that I think you messed up on is this animal. It probably needs a body. So, so let's see. I think its back's got to go all the way up here, right? So maybe something like this, and then it needs legs. So we go here, and I think it could pull the caravan better if it had these big, muscular, chunky legs. And there we go. And then to use minimal amounts of color, I think we can make this sucker blue. And look at this, we got an animal now pulling this thing. Maybe it has a tail, something like that. And bada bing. Wait. Yeah, baby. And there we go. Now it makes sense. Now it's good. Before it was kind of bad. I noticed there's no wheel in the front. If the animal's holding it up, that'd be pretty heavy. So I think what you also need is you need a ski here, like that, like so that so that way it can pull it along. But now, in all honesty, this is a pretty awesome design. I like the homey feel. However, the one thing that I would maybe change is this looks like it's leaving, and if it was in a video game, I would want it to look like accessible. So if you had like a character, if you had a character in this window that maybe like talks, that would be fine. But if you're supposed to walk into this thing, I think this would be a good spot for a door. I imagine that the door is somewhere over here, but I think it's kind of a missed opportunity to put a door here, which would make it look kind of more homey and cozy and make it look accessible. Or a door on the back here. The window on the back is pretty sweet, but I think maybe a door back there would also be pretty cool. But overall, this design is pretty epic. There, we colored it in for you. Hotove. Next, we got this one, which I think looks cool with the perspective, but it's a little messy, so let's try to clean it up. So it can be tempting to have a bunch of colors like this, but I feel like if you don't have them occupy large sections, if they look sprinkled, that's when pixel art gets messy. So in pixel art, you kind of have to draw stuff in chunks. For example, here, this corner right here, if we just make this like a giant chunk, then it's easier to shade and it comes off a lot better. You know what I'm saying? I would get rid of all these little speckles. I don't really like doing any sort of little speckles to make things look like they have more detail in pixel art. There's like a 3D modeling style called cell shading, like Wind Waker and stuff like that. And when I draw pixel art, I imagine that everything's cell shaded, you know? And that way it's a lot easier to just avoid adding details actually, because extra details in pixel art just means that it's harder to see what you're looking at. So here there's so many different colors in these pieces of wood. Like this one's so dark that in pixel art, a different color can often, I think it should often be used to signify a different object. I mean, if the color is significantly different, you know? So for example, here, I would really minimize the amount of colors. I wouldn't use this extra dark color for this piece of wood right here. And I don't even know what's going on over here, dude. So I'm gonna ignore that part. Deb sent me a submission on Twitter, and I love the feel of this thing. I like the roots going up that. Since this kind of looks smooth, this part of it, so I would add some kind of basic whatchamacallit, crevices, tree pattern, and maybe, I mean, I did a terrible job at that, but you get what I'm saying. Oh wow, that made a pretty big difference. So I would add a texture to that, and then I think that I see that you're not doing outlines, but I still think that maybe these would benefit from like a darker color near the bottom. It would just make it look a little bit more like it has a little bit more dimension, you know, like maybe on the sides here too. The wheels look kind of, they look kind of thin. So maybe just outline that stuff there. And I love that the doors here, I not on the side. I mean, it might make sense to put the door on the back of a caravan, but having it on the side here, I think is great for like a side view game or whatever, because you're not gonna see the door. Having the door on the side is awesome, especially for like a side view game, because if the door was over here, I mean, players can't be certain that there's a door there. This does look a little bit flat. I'm not sure how you could add more perspective other than what I would do probably is take like this wheel and have another one over here maybe. So that way, because right now it looks like it only has 2 wheels, you know, so I'll try to make it look like it has 4. I think it's really cool that there's hanging lights here. Maybe instead of Now this is just like a design choice, okay? This really is, don't take it personal, you know? But maybe what I would do is I would actually have, instead of the end piece here having this wood, I would maybe have it actually kind of like growing out of that part, you know? And a window maybe over here would be kind of cool. There's like a little hole. I didn't do a very good job at that, but I think you guys get what I was trying to. Maybe a little window over there, something like this. But and then some parts of this are a little too bright. So this thing around the door, it almost looks like it's glowing. You see what I mean? Like if we zoom out, the grass here looks a little bit too bright, like it's glowing too, and so does this color. So I would just turn down that color a little bit. If I turn off contiguous and Aseprite, I can turn that down a little, and I can mute that a little bit, and we can make these colors a little bit darker. And I think that starts looking a little bit more natural. Whereas, well, it messed up the lanterns, but I think it starts looking a little bit more natural. As before, it almost looked like it was glowing, like it was magical. And that could be a thing you're going for, but I don't know if you were. But overall, the design is really cool. I like it. It's very creative. So what I had in mind was something like this. And I think the person that came the closest to that is Arto Frob. And he drew this sketch. And I love the lookout tower at the top because it adds so much lore. Like, I didn't even think about there being a lookout tower where you can, you know what I mean? And I don't know what this is, a ring collector. It's a pea collector, dude. But he asked for feedback, and I told him that I think it's pretty cool, but this looked a little bit prehistoric to me with all the bones and stuff. And then he changed it up. Both of these versions are so good in their own ways, aren't they? I kind of want to combine both of them though. So I really love this lookout tower, and this one is good, but the shape of this one, how it almost looks like it's falling over, I really like that because it kind of looks like it's more crafty, right? Like it was kind of put together less with by a goblin. And I love the lookout, the telescope, not telescope. Yeah, telescope, right? I think that's what they're called. Is there a difference between looking at outer binoculars? There's two of them. But if it's just one, is it a nocular or is it a telescope? No way. Monocular is a thing. Oh, dang. I'm genius. Look at all these monoculars. I think Call of Duty fans would call this a scope. Dude, this is excellent. I don't think I even really know how to improve this. You win. By the way, I did say that my favorite one would get a free copy of the game. So you get a free copy of the game for sure. And okay, fine. There are a few things that I would probably improve on. This this thing right here, I think it's a cloth, but it's kind of hard to tell what it is, and it's very similar to this part. So these two materials might be seen as the same material. So if this is a cloth, I would maybe put like a sort of like a little pattern on this, like the little triangles. Oh man, I messed that up. Man, it's not easy to draw triangles real quick, but I think you guys get the point. And then the door here, it's not super obvious that there's a door here. So remember how I like using colors to separate objects? I think I've only said that a few times. So I would maybe make this door a different color intentionally. It doesn't have to be this color. I'm just intentionally trying to reuse colors. By the way, I love how there's a little bit of overgrowth here because it kind of like, you know, points out that it's that they're in the forest and they live in the wilderness. It's a really, really nice touch. I love little things like that tell you about the world without telling you, you know, explicitly. So I would make the door a different color. Already check that out. Now, emphasizes that there's a door here. I would maybe even do that with the frame. And I think the top of the door, since you have this, what's it? I don't know what you would call that. But since that's there, I would shade the top here. Either use this color or just like 50% opacity black, like something like, wait, that didn't have enough opacity. But I would add some shading near the top there, even over these things hanging. So that way it kind of makes this look like it's protruding out more. And I didn't notice the chest at first, to be honest. And I don't know why I didn't notice the chest. I think it's either its location or the shape of it. I think people have they have like a expectancy for certain shapes. So for this chest, I think because of its shape, it actually made it less noticeable to me. So if you gave it an arch like this, then I think people would be more likely to notice that there's a chest here. And I would emphasize, maybe, let me get the rectangle too. I would maybe emphasize a little bit, put a little bit more details in it. If you put details and stuff, it draws people's attention more to it. So check this out. If I add a few more details to this chest, kind of like this, now it starts looking more like there's a chest there. You know what I mean? Something about it is a little bit off. Maybe if you have the metal here, maybe pull it across like this, so it kind of has like a lid, and then we can separate this and make it look like maybe there's like a keyhole there. And I would maybe even add that near the bottom here. And now that, and then I think that maybe two bands going across like this, and they can even protrude a little bit like above, so that it looks like it's keeping it down or whatever. And then you can add a little bit of shading here on so it even more emphasizes that there's, and now the chest is more obvious, you know. Now it stands out a little bit better. But other than that, I think this is awesome. This right here, the shading on it makes it look kind of flat for some reason. I think you would need to add a little bit more of this near the bottom, so it's not just at the very bottom, but have it go up a little bit, and now that'll make it look a little bit rounder. Same thing with the highlight. If you bring the highlights a little bit lower, like to here, it starts making this look a little bit more round. Another way we could make it look rounder is if we just, oops, I bumped into my mic. If we just move this over here. By the way, this program is called Aseprite, and there's a link in the description. I get a tiny little kickback if you buy it through them. That'd be awesome. I don't make any, I make like $100 a month off of the YouTube videos. So I get a little tiny kickback if you buy that program. I separated the stairs here. I would also use probably a different color for the stairs than this background. I think that the stairs should be lighter because you want to kind of establish that they're in front, right? So a simple way to make things look like they're in front of other stuff is to just make it lighter. So this area back here, actually the whole thing, I think, I mean, I do like how you have that texturing and stuff, but I'm just trying to point something out. That whole thing can be darker, and then it really helps push it back and bring stuff like this wheel and this ladder more to the foreground. And also this part, you see how I got rid of the details? That can actually be a good thing, because getting rid of those details can help put focus on the other items that have plenty of detail that are in the front. And thank you for all of your submissions, everyone. I'll do one of these, I think, every month, a pixel art critique. It's a good way for you to get noticed. So don't forget to submit for the next one. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys next week. A Dev Life. The game's called The Last Phoenix. Please follow the Kickstarter. I know it's early, but every follow makes me feel a little bit less insecure.